Welcome back to Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. Last time we started Act 4, and since we've done a map with Alm, let's go and return to the Temple of Mila.
When I was a kid, there was this guy that I was head over heels for. He's the reason I enlisted, actually, just so I could stay close to him. He died in the first battle we fought. I cried so hard, I thought my eyes were going to flow clean out of my skull. Valbar saved me from that. Every time he saw me, he'd take the time to say something. Cheer me up. What can you do with a man like that but fall in love? You're thinking I'm a tramp, aren't you? Well, I'm not. It's hardly my fault that the world is full of wonderful, lovable people. Such a thing really motivates one to get out there and save it.
The Sage's Hamlet? Yes, I've heard of it. It's said to be hidden away at the heart of the lost treescape, past the fortress built at the wood's edge by Jeddah of the Duma Faithful. One of his men guards the path there, a loathsome creature called Dolph.
The sage Halcyon was once a high priest of Duma himself, but he was driven out by Jeddah. Jeddah was always jealous of the loyal followers who flocked to Halcyon, so he worked diligently to seal him away from the outside world.
Alright, so I would go to the Great Hall and do a side quest, but Distraught Lady, still not really feeling it, doesn't want to talk. If only there was some way to get the medicinal syrup from the weeds you've collected so many of. Ah well, anyway, let's go to the basement. So, now that we're in Act 4 and we've drained a whole lot of water, let's actually go to the basement. Remember the basement? There's a whole lot of water. So this isn't actually the way to progress, but you probably do want to come down here, because there's a few interesting things.
Water.
Yep, don't drink this one though. This is bad water. You should be interested in this water only if you like the various bacteria that have flown in here. Otherwise, let's see. What do we run into first? A hole! No, it's not anything.
Dungeon is boring as shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why aren't you getting a better dungeon, Mila? What the hell?
I would find it funny if it was just completely empty, because this whole thing was flooded, everything in here would be dead.
Well, this was never flooded out. This is a mage ring. This is incredible, and we'll see it in a few minutes. But first, a fountain. This is water of attack. So we don't have many uses of this, unfortunately, but it's water of attack? That's good. What if you were just stronger? That's the question we're asking.
Alright, put it on Atlas.
I mean, S needs things. And I mean, Atlas is plenty buff already. If only there was a mercenary I could give it to, but nah, I'm gonna give it to Leon, I think. It's always good to have a stronger archer. Alright, so let's check out that mage ring. So what's that mage ring do? So, true to its name, mage ring is very good for mages because it increases Tome's attack power and range. So you get stronger and can also hit from farther away. Any mage you can give this to will benefit from it. So yeah, I looked through the list, but I gave it to Sonia, because, you know, she's new, she could use a few things. And she's already, like, kinda strong, but yeah, no, Mage Ring is just gonna punt everybody to the sun.
Anything that boosts range of your attacks in a Fire Emblem game is a little overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, Celica. I'm glad to see you safe, child.
Noma? What in the world are you doing here?
Not to put too fine a point on it, but I was worried about you. I followed you as far as this temple, but this place is just so large. I'm embarrassed to say I got a bit lost, little one.
Oh dear. Well, I'm glad to see you in good spirits nonetheless.
Perhaps we'd both enjoy more peace of mind if we stayed together. Might I travel with you from here on?
I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't take him. Alright, so Noma's basically just here if somehow a lot of your mages died. Hey, future me, talk about Noma for a bit. So, instead of having Celica travel with her parental figure in Noma, they had a storyline in which, you know, Celica travels with friends, but Celica just meets somebody at the bar, and as it turns out, he might be a bastard, but he's a bastard with a heart of gold. And so they kind of have that dynamic, which is totally fine, you know, that's how the original game decided to go. And, well, not that it had much of a story, but it's still a fair interpretation here to have Celica make a more personal journey of growth without a straightforward guide. But now that Noma's actually in the party, she doesn't really need a guide anymore, because she's now just accepted her place in the world and the position and power that she's supposed to hold, you know, as the Princess of Zofia. So, in terms of story, Noma doesn't really have a spot anymore because Celica doesn't particularly need guidance. So that's Noma in terms of story. He's basically the same in terms of actual usage. Noma would have been a very interesting Jigen to have. Jigen, of course, being from the first game. He was the old man who was good at fighting back in the day, but perhaps couldn't really carry as well as, you know, the younger characters who would have higher growth rates and a higher overall potential. But at the very least, starts out pretty skilled and could fight very well. Noma is that, but in the middle of the game for some reason. His starting stats are, well... Okay, look, Noma can hit, and he can hit hard. He's just slower than a snail, and if something comes up to him and attacks him, there's a pretty good chance they're just going to crit. So, if there's ever a high crit magical unit, that 14 resistance isn't gonna come in useful for that. And it sucks because, like, that's actually a pretty respectable resistance. But yeah, no, mages are always squishy. Noma is even squishier. He has no potential for raising defense outside of items that give him more defense. And the rest of his growth rates aren't much better. His best growth rate is a 30% in skill. So, like, again, Noma can hit. There's no real question about that. He can at least score a hit, and it will hurt. He's not underpowered. He's just very in danger of dying if anything comes close to him. It's also interesting that he starts with all of these spells he's going to get, barring the DLC, of course, but otherwise, yeah, no, he just gets all of the spells he's going to have, which is terribly unexciting. It is a fine set of spells, at least. He's got Fire and Thunder, those are the basics. He's got Excalibur, that's strong, and he's got Sagittae, strong and also exclusive to him being a male character. Which, you know, I guess technically speaking that is a bit of an advantage. Bowie is our only other male sage. I mean, I guess you could make Atlas a sage, but why would you? Why would you do that to yourself? So yeah, if you're a big fan of the Sagittae spell, and to be fair, it's a good spell, Noma is here to give you an option outside of Bowie. But then again, he does also have the issue of Sagittae being a particularly draining spell, so if you cast it and somebody runs up to him and decks him in the face, he's dead. Noma cannot survive much. And with that 15% growth rate, even spells are probably going to be taxing on him, unless you get really lucky or decide you want to use the HP upgrades on him, which... Look, Jigans have enough of a reputation at the start of a game in the other games in the series, and you probably wouldn't want to give them your very good and very valuable stat-increasing items. Why would you give it to the mid-game Jigen? Why would you do that? Ah, well, I mean, I guess to be fair, that's what you should probably expect if you find your grandpa in some random sewer. He's very enthusiastic about joining you, and he's not your racist grandpa, but he's still the grandpa you found in a sewer. That's a little weird, don't you think, Noma? Why did you think Celica would be in the basements? Why did you check there first? So yeah, basically, technically speaking though, like, this is usually the role that, like, Noma's type of character fills, where, like, at the end of the game you usually get a pretty powerful mage, because typically you'll want some amount of mage for an end game. But given the way Echoes works, he doesn't need to be the replacement of anybody to have actual use, right? Like, the actual stats of these guys can kind of go back and forth, because, you know, they're usually decently statted for an end game, because that's what they're made for, but they usually won't be quite as good as just a trained mage. It's kind of the dynamic, especially of earlier Fire Emblems.
They're there so you're not screwed completely, but the game also still rewards you for building a mage up from scratch.
Yep, so he is a lot like Godo from the first game, except, you know, yeah, that's the part of the problem, is, like, he doesn't need to be a replacement, and since you can use units all the time, that doesn't mean you're going to bench him exactly. But he's also probably not going to be your favorite unit either.
Also, Godo was literally only in the final map, right?
Yes.
That's one of the things that people argue about over whether a character is a Godo or not. If they're around for more than the final map, they're not a real Godo.
This place gives me chills. Small wonder it's got a charming name like Dead Man's Mire.
I can handle dead men. It's this humidity that's killing me. Let's clear a path and get going already.
No arguments here.
Untease.
Huh?
What is it, lass?
I thought I heard someone calling my name.
You sure? I didn't hear anything.
Perhaps this place is simply preying on my imagination.
Alright. That will probably be segmented weird, since that was partially during a cutscene.
I don't think that scene was gonna be longer.
Well, now we have plenty of these scenes, too. We've got a whole lot of supports to go through.
At your service. Is something wrong, Katria? You seem down.
Oh, it's nothing. Just musing on Arcanea a bit.
I see. I too worry about our home. I hope Minerva is all right. And
what?
well, I'm curious who it is that you were thinking of.
What? There's no who. I was just... You can be so cruel sometimes.
Perhaps we'll both just leave it at that then, Now let's get to work. The sooner we win, the sooner we can return home.
Agreed.
Let us proceed.
I'll mow him down.
What's wrong, Atlas? We're in combat, yet you seem distracted.
Sorry, Lady Celica. I was just thinking of my little brothers and got a mite distracted. I hope they're doing all right.
I hope so too. You must miss them most terribly.
Yeah, but some things just have to wait. Right now, we need to focus on cleaning this place up.
Leave it to me.
I'll handle this myself.
You're awful quiet there, Leon. Something on your mind?
Just realizing I've been a fool for feeling sorry for myself. Compared to what you've gone through, my worries are nothing.
Worries, eh? I didn't think you were the type for all that.
Hi, rude. I've my share of concern the same as anyone else. Such as a not insignificant case of unrequited love.
Oh, that.
But it's fine. Emotions come in many forms, and as you say, there's no point in hanging on. I'm still glad I have these feelings, and nothing will change that.
I'm in top condition.
All right, I'll handle this.
Feeling good.
I'm unstoppable.
Ready anytime.
I'm at the top of my game.
Say, Bowie?
What is it?
Traveling around the world like this is pretty fun and all, but I still think I prefer a quiet life of watching the sea back on the island. How about you?
Well, this isn't a conversation I thought we'd be having today. But of course I want to go home soon. My family's waiting there after all.
Yeah, I guess.
You guess? What's that mean?
Well, we could also stick with Celica and live in a big fancy castle, yeah? I just wasn't sure which one you'd prefer.
You're headed back to the island, right?
Yeah.
Then that's where I'm going as well.
Huh? Wait, what's that mean?
Are you really such a dope that you can't figure it out?
What?
You want it? You got it.
I'm ready to roll.
Age before beauty.
Emma's on the move. Oh, Randall!
Uh-oh.
I was just looking for you. It's time for that practice session we talked about.
If you say so.
I do. Ready? Triangle, attack!
Triangle, attack.
Too quiet. Put some super move in it. Triangle, attack!
Bah, oh, the hell with it. Triangle attack!
Wow, that's great. I like the way you sort of warbled on the end there. Now, you need to quickly attack while shouting that 3 times.
Of course I do. How did I get dragged into this?
Wipe that displeasure off your face, sir. You'll never be a Pegasus Knight if you keep whining like that.
Wait, who said I wanted to be a Pegasus Knight? Men can't ride Pegasuses. Pegasi? Anyway, they can't ride them.
Says who?
Says all the men in Valentia and Arcanea who've never done it.
So, not a single man has ever become a Pegasus rider? But that just means you can be the first. Don't let history discourage you.
I don't want to be a Pegasus Knight. I've never even flown before. So not only am I unqualified, I'm not even ready to be qualified.
Oh, we can fix that. Wanna fly with me sometime?
Actually, you know what? That might be kind of fun. I've always wanted to take to the skies. And we can go anywhere I want?
I'll speak with a friend and see what can be arranged. Just leave it to me.
All right, kid. You got yourself a deal. Don't let me down.
Oh, don't you worry about that.
So we'll have another support conversation in a bit, but it's time to talk about Celica once again being on a map with terrible tiles. It's just her thing. The muck tiles. When you stand on them, if you're not a flyer or a really good cleric, saint, with the ability to just say no to damage tiles, you will receive 5 damage. So we're just gonna see a whole lot of people take damage. Thankfully, saints also have the ability to heal people around them, so that's incredible. They are kind of lifesavers for this one.
I forgot about that. That's kind of overpowered.
It is a tiny amount of damage that it heals, so like, in fights, it's not the best, and plus you want to spread out, but it is fantastic for mitigating the damage you'll be taking on these tiles.
Probably what it was intended for.
Pretty much, yeah, considering they have both abilities. They don't take damage from tiles, and they heal everybody, so group around your saints and just kind of stick your hands out like they were a fire. Alright, so I guess while we wait on that other support conversation, we did pick up a new character, and while we have heard him before, we didn't talk about his voice actor because he hadn't joined yet. So, Noma is voiced by Kirk Thornton, a name you know.
Ahoy!
So he's done a lot of work, just like a whole lot of work. So many roles I don't recognize, but also a fair few that I do recognize. He was actually like the earlier like animated series Giles. I think mostly for like the anime adaptions, not the Ruby Spears one.
Oh, okay.
He was also dub voices for some Fist of the North Star characters, including Toki.
Do you remember which media that he was in?
Supposedly the 1999 one from what I looked up.
Okay.
So yeah, there's also been some Digimon, some Naruto, because of course. There's just a whole lot of Narts. Just so many. So let's see what else. I know the obvious one, but I wanna save that one for last. He was actually in Ippo. I'm just trying to remember Masahiko Umizawa, who I don't remember which character that is. I wanna say that was the bully character who became a manga artist, I think? Or at least tried for it. It's been a while since I've watched Ippo, unfortunately, so I don't remember the names perfectly.
I don't remember anybody becoming a manga artist.
But yeah, he played various characters in that. He's been in some Dynasty Warriors. He's also been in a whole lot of like SMT stuff. And SMT adjacent stuff, so, you know. Your SMTs, your Catherines, whatever have you. He's Saix in Kingdom Hearts 2.
What? Was he in any Gundams?
I don't think so. I didn't list any Gundams, at least, so...
I'm gonna double check before I say something. Because I'm pretty sure I remember a thing, if I can find it. Okay, he was Annabelle Gato in Stardust Memory.
Okay.
Which is a good character that was made worse by the change in directors because they didn't know what they were doing with him.
Oh dear.
But he's also the one that berates the protagonist, and the protagonist salutes him and he shouts, "I'm the enemy, you idiot!"
We're almost to the support conversation, but real quick, he also played Grant Dynasty from Castlevania Judgment, the bad fighting game, where he looks like this.
Hey, sis. Can I ask you something? This must be bad if you need to ask permission first. No, it's just... Look, maybe I'm wrong and just imagining it, but I'm curious. About? Is there a boy you like? You know, you're in this army. What? I mean, it's such a wonderful group and full of really nice men. So, if any of them caught your eye, I thought maybe I could set you up?
Wow. I don't even know where to begin. We're not here to mingle and find a date, Est. There's no room for that now. I know you mean well, but be serious.
Sorry.
Listen to me, Est. What makes me the most happy is being with you and Katria. You don't need to worry about anything except staying safe. Understood?
Understood.
Alright, well then. So anyway though. God, just... Est. Why?
Yeah, anything else for Kirk Thornton? Or do we have...
anyway though, he was actually a, he did have a role in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. However, he was Doobie. Remember, I think that was one of the random, like, vampires that Dio made?
Oh, yeah, one of those fuckers. It's just like, my name is Plant, I'm Doobie, and then they all explode.
Mm-hmm. In terms of other Fire Emblem roles, in Fire Emblem Awakening, he was Yen Fei. He also reprised that role in Fire Emblem Heroes, and in Fire Emblem Heroes he also plays Dorcas, Iago, and Surtur, the main villain of, what was that, Book 2? He's the big fire guy who's kind of Ganon-ish. He looks a little like a Ganondorf. He's very large and very angry. He's got a beard.
Remember Dorcas?
I do. Too bad he got poisoned.
Like all these people.
Alright, so... Anyway... I feel like... I have, of course, saved the best for last, because... He does play a Sonic character. And that's Orbot. He's the voice of Orbot. And also Shadow the Hedgehog.
I didn't know that about Orbot. Yeah, if your only familiarity with Kirk Thornton's Shadow is the Sonic Boom video game, where he's like really jarringly bad compared to the Shadows up to that point, please watch the Twitter takeovers where he's in. The one for the Sonic Forces release is okay, but the following ones for Team Sonic Racing and Sonic Colors Ultimate are perfect.
Mm-hmm. Alright, hey, so we're actually far enough through the swamp where I can actually talk strategy at this point, because this is actually a really tough chapter, or map. I keep calling them chapters, but they're maps. But anyway, though, yes, biggest advantage in this map is the fact that the enemies mostly will not charge you. The exception, of course, is the summoned enemies, but they're not terrible. You'll want to make a pretty good defense pretty much for the gargoyles. Given their mobility, they're pretty much the biggest threat against you. After that, of course, is the Bone Walkers, but they can't move as well. And then the zombies are just nothing. You don't have to worry about the zombies. They're the closest things, and certainly they'll get in your way when you try to kill everybody in front, but statistically, you're not going to die to the zombies. But the real tough thing is pretty much just the way the enemies here are staggered, because you have to walk through the swamp, which is literally a pain. You'll take a whole lot of damage, and then, yeah, you basically just have to take care of things as soon as possible. There's the Dread Fighter up front, who, of course, can take a decent amount of punishments. He's pretty tough. Thankfully, he's the only one here, at least in normal mode. Don't know if they add any harder modes, but whatever. Yeah, he's pretty tough. You'll want to kill him immediately so he doesn't run back to the mages, because the mages will heal him, but if the mages come forward, then they're forward, and they're more likely to attack you. You want to clear all of the physical units as soon as you possibly can, and then just put your best resistance foot forward and just fight these guys. Don't engage the mages with anybody with low resistance. It'll hurt. I did actually have to redo this chapter, which sucks because, yeah, no, that's a whole lot of conversations I had to redo.
Also, it's just the worst part of NES Fire Emblem design, where, like, okay, for the first 5 turns, you're just moving.
We haven't put any enemies particularly close to you, and we want to introduce the poison swamp as a gimmick, so how about we introduce it while not actually doing anything? Also, thankfully that first mage was just particularly tough, because that first one attacked Paula and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I also just went, oh, Jesus, you must have had a really good, like, string of dodging here, but no, that one was just the good mage.
Yeah, he's the one who doesn't suck. He doesn't have depression. He's here to kick your ass.
That's the jock
Thankfully,
mage.
Thankfully, I have distance Sonya. She's here to not be anywhere near your bullshit. So, I guess while we do this, I will mention we're in Act 4 now, so I think that it's pretty noticeable by now. Alm and Celica's routes are actually, like, pretty decently separate in terms of, like, general feel, make, whatever you would call it. They do a very good job of defining Alm as the one who's just pretty much in a straight-up fight. He is in a war, so all of his fights are very straightforward. It's just you in a field with maybe some trees and castles, but overall, like, you're just killing enemy units. They have good formations, they have numbers, but otherwise, yeah, no, they just charge at you. Celica's just going on this mission, though. She's going on a pilgrimage through dangerous enemy territory, so enemies are slightly more infrequent, and typically you fight more monsters and people who summon monsters than just actual foot soldiers. And also, to emphasize it being a difficult pilgrimage, she has to deal with the environment a lot more. And, you know, ignoring how that actually turns out, it's not a bad idea. It's not the worst thing. It's just in practice, a lot of times, very specific environment gimmicks in Fire Emblem maybe aren't the most fun. I will say at least the Poison Swamp is better than the desert. Like, you take more damage, in that you take damage at all from being on this type of tile, but I prefer this over going extremely slow over desert tiles, because that's just kind of boring. And then, of course, while it's not featured in this game, Fog of War is never usually my favorite thing in Fire Emblem, so that kind of gimmick, not my favorite thing either. But yeah, I will say, even if the map design itself is not the best, considering this is on an NES and considering what they are working with, they don't do a terrible job of giving both routes a different feel.
Yeah. And I don't think that NES map design is strictly bad, there are just some decisions that are just, what the hell.
Yeah, like, when they want to have interesting set pieces, they do have fairly interesting set pieces, like, the Temple of Mila map wasn't too bad, the sluice gate was nice. Basically, if you're in a building, it's fine.
And I do think the worst of it was, like, at the beginning, where it was like, here's 4 horses.
Yep. We're going to piecemeal this to you. 4 horses. Of the apocalypse? No. Just 4 horses. It's just 4 horses.
Sometimes you just need 4 horses. Sometimes a family is just 4 horses.
Ah yes, the 4 horses. 4 war, famine, plague, and death. Of course you summon it last second. Well, okay. So I'm pretty much tired of this chapter, so let's do some assassinations best we can, because if you'll remember, if you kill the summoner, the summons die. And that's a lot of fucking skeletons is the thing. He made so many skeletons. just gonna open the way and just kinda fuck your entire shit up. Also, I didn't mention it when it was actually happening, when we were in the thick of the mud, but man, I just kept imagining while playing this chapter, every character just having a voice clip of saying, fuck, while taking damage from, tiles. Given how rapidly those play, even without a fast forward, I think that would be very funny.
It just has like a 1 in, like, 800, 162 chance of playing. It's 800, about 8,000, but...
Yeah, it has to be an extreme no matter what. But I also just think the non-stop stream of obscenities from characters would be funny too.
Yeah, it's each turn, not each time somebody gets hit. So like most turns everybody will be quiet, but then on one turn it's just fuck, 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 fuck.
Shit, fuck, ah.
One of them doesn't say a curse word, but he just has like a fucking like a really bad scream.
Jesse just had a blood-curdling scream. He gets damaged first, and his scream lasts as long as everybody else getting hit.
You're just doing your normal turn, and there's just an extended sequence of Jesse like, oh, the agony, oh, the pain, oh, it's so bad, ah.
Alright, well then, that's that turn over and done with, so, hey, why don't you get out of the way of Celica so she can finish off the boss, Kamui?
Yes, come to me. I'm gonna lay you to sleep at the bottom of this beautiful swamp.
Oh fuck. On second thought, don't come close to me. Oh god, oh shit, nope, I got an attack. Here I go. Oh no.
No, I was meant for so much.
Anyway, I did kind of want to finish that with Celica, Kamui, but whatever, you do you. Guess she didn't need the experience. She's the princess now or whatever.
Look, I'm concerned about my screen presence.
Their mistake was
I
going
need to
up
do things
against
like this,
me.
or else the audience will forget I exist.
Oh, curse these bones. I can't stand fighting with mud squishing in my boots. We need to get out of this place yesterday. What do you say, lass?
Yes, let's.
On tees, this way. Come to me. If you wish to save Miller and the boy.
What? Just who are you?
Celica? Where the hell are you going?
Welcome, Aunties, Crown Princess of Sophia, bearer of the brand, and one marked by fate.
Who are you?
My name is Jeddah, first disciple to the great and glorious Duma.
You're the one holding Milla.
Oh, indeed I am. However, if you wish for her release, I propose a bargain.
What kind of bargain?
Miller is well and good, but what I truly desire is you. If you will offer up your soul to Lord Duma, I will cede Miller. She will be free to return to Sophia.
What kind of a bargain is that? Why is my soul of any value to you?
Have you never thought it strange, Princess Aunties? Rigel and Sophia are twin nations founded on the backs of divine dragons. And yet, Dire changes currently befall them both. Duma seeks power vast enough to destroy all balance in the world. Meanwhile, Milla's intemperate bounty drives the Zophians to depravity.
Milla provides for her children.
Her soul, as Duma's, is host to the madness shared by all dragonkind. Duma will grow stronger till that power brings his ruin, and Regel's alongside it. It is no different from how Zofia now rots in Milla's absence.
Her absence by your hand? And what is this madness you speak of? Do you truly claim that Milla and Duma are fated to destroy themselves?
I do, which is exactly why your soul is required. It is rare and precious, born of Zophian royal blood, and marked by the brand. Such a soul could set Duma's path to rights and ensure his survival. And with Milla restored to her place, both our peoples might be saved. As for the boy Alm, if you do this, he could lay down his arms. Well, what say you? I think it is a most generous offer myself.
Perhaps you're right. In fact, it may be too generous. How can I possibly believe a thing that you've told me?
I have spoken only truth, Princess. But you needn't give your answer now. I will await your reply atop Duma Tower.
There you are.
Oh, Saber.
The hell happened back there? It ain't like you to just charge off.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
What's going on, lass? You look pale.
Nothing. Come, we need to hurry.
Celica.
Anyway, here's a Necro Dragon. Oh boy, they can just summon those. That'll be fun. Anyway, next time either Alm or probably Celica in DLC.